Hello, and welcome to this episode of Experience Matters, our series covering customer experience, employee experience, and everything in between. I'm your host, Shelley Kramer, Principal Analyst here at Kramer&Co. And today we're taking a look at role-based AI agents, recently rolled out by SAP and Oracle. And we're talking about what really counts as an agent and whether CIOs are buying marketing numbers or actual autonomous capabilities, and what some of the differences are between these two offerings. So both companies announced similar capabilities around the same time, suggesting this is kind of a defining battleground for enterprise software. I am thrilled to be joined today by my dear friend, Charlie Mitchell, who's the former head of publication at CX Today. He's a writer, he's a strategist, he's an analyst, and for a change, he's in front of the mic and not behind it. Charlie, welcome. I'm so glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Shelley. It's really great to be here. And as you say, it's strange to be on the other side of the mic.
I love it. I love it. Okay, Charlie, just for the benefit of our audience, will you walk us through a little bit of your career journey, what you've been doing, and maybe a teaser on what's ahead?
Yeah, so actually it's been a very relaxing month or so for me as I stepped down from my role as head of publication at CX Today in mid-October, and we'll start a new role in the new year, which I'm really excited about. Unfortunately, I can't say much more about that currently, but just quickly over the past 4 years. So yeah, I was heading up CX Today. Wrote a lot about the contact center space and CRM space in particular, but also conversational AI technologies, workforce engagement management, voice of the customer, and spaces like that. And yeah, it was a really great few years. The past 2 years, especially with Reese, my deputy, at my side, we achieved, I think, 2 million page views both years, which is a massive accomplishment for us, especially in this age of AI search. But yeah, it was time for something new, and that's coming in January, as I said, as I enjoyed a little break now, but I haven't kept my eye off the industry. I guess that leads us to today's conversation.
And that absolutely does. All right, Charlie, let's talk AI. Of course, not that we're all not talking AI all day, every day, but as we kind of look back here, first we had the launch of Copilots supporting humans as we fulfill tasks. And quickly after that, we had AI agents fulfilling tasks autonomously. However, the AI agents of the past 12 months were mostly custom, and it was up to businesses to figure out their use cases and configure and integrate and test AI agents themselves. What are you seeing happening now?
Yeah, so I think, as you said, that was a huge step from Copilots to AI agents. So Copilots that would sort of support humans as they fulfill tasks, and now we have AI agents that reason, adapt, and adapt to fulfill tasks autonomously. And as you mentioned, over the past 12 months, these would typically been very custom, and it was up for the business themselves to configure, integrate, and test these AI agents themselves. So now sort of doing this in-house has proven so time-consuming, it's proven so complex for different businesses that the onus has sort of swung back to vendors to do more of the sort of the hard yards.
Yeah.
So that means that they're doing more to sort of embed pre-configured and optimized AI agents into their software, which perform a series of specific tasks as a human user would in accordance with a specific role, so i.e. role-based agents. And that's already a massive step forward. But if we think of how humans work, they don't just work within one application. And given this, I'm really most excited about actually what comes next. And that's sort of narrowly focused agents coordinated across multi-agent systems that accomplish longer tail cross-application workflows. And ultimately, I think that fundamentally promises to change the enterprise software stack. But sort of agent-to-agent communication has to improve for that to happen. There's been massive breakthroughs already in 2025 in terms of MCP, of course, but making that work in the enterprise, I think that's going to be the massive next step.
Yeah, I agree. And, I have many conversations with engineers, and engineers love building things and they love solving problems and solving puzzles and all of that sort of thing. But the reality of it is, as you mentioned, the time required to build, the expertise required from an in-house standpoint. I mean, all of these things were really huge challenges and big roadblocks. So, being able to opt for out-of-the-box solutions that integrate, that work across your tech stack and all of that sort of thing is really attractive, and with good reason. So I'm not at all surprised to see us going in this direction. But that's what we're going to talk about today. These role-based AI agents, which both Oracle and SAP have recently announced. Here are some quick specifics. So SAP's approach at its recent SAP Connect event, SAP announced new agents that work across its SaaS enterprise applications, adding role-specific capabilities to its Joule Copilot. And repositioning Joule as an agent that can call AI agents to carry out common tasks. SAP's strategy emphasizes embedding AI deeply within its integrated core business processes. And of course, it's powered by the contextualized data from its business data cloud. Oracle's approach is different. Oracle has released over 50 role-based AI agents embedded within its Fusion Cloud applications, covering areas like supply chain, marketing, sales, service, finance, and HCM. Oracle's also launched an AI agent marketplace that allows customers to deploy validated partner-built AI agents directly within their enterprise environment. Charlie, this shift from copilots to agents, it's interesting, it's timely, and there are some core strategic differences, though, between what Oracle is doing and what SAP is doing, including from an architectural standpoint. Before I ask you my architecture question, I'll just add that SAP's flywheel model, where apps generate context-rich data, and data fuels the embedded AI, and AI enhances applications with SAP's knowledge graph as the connector within this system. Oracle's approach is different. Oracle's approach, where enterprise data never leaves the native Fusion environment, with AI built directly on top of and integrated into Fusion applications. Charlie, these are very different architectures. What do you think is there, in their different approaches, how do you think about these architectures, and do you see one as potentially maybe delivering more value than the other?
Yeah, so I think the Oracle model is very interesting. Like, if we think about how it built the Fusion suite, it took elements of its broad CX platform and then placed them in a composable environment that's powered by OCI, so the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. And so now it includes CRM, ERP, human capital management, and supply chain within one architecture. And that architecture enables Oracle to design AI agents that follow optimized cross-departmental workflows with sort of a functional awareness too. And if we consider, as I mentioned earlier, the next sort of generation of AI agent flows to be coordinated across systems, this seemingly gives Oracle an advantage over many of its competitors. And also that cross-domain data is key, as it limits sort of integration work, which slows down a lot of projects. So like, I was speaking to an analyst recently who had spoken to 40 Agentforce customers, and only one of those had integrated it with its CRM products with its ERP for Agentforce to work with both. So I think that as I said, that cross-domain data is key in sort of limiting the integration work, which is drag. So there are
I think I will add that composable environment is incredibly attractive. Being able to pull in what you want. I think that, to me, that's incredibly attractive.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, there are several plus points to Oracle's approach, and SAP actually has many similar advantages, especially in its size. Its architecture is more complex. However, the idea of embedded intelligence, where AI filters data across SAP applications, is interesting in boosting AI and human workers with new intelligence. And why do I find that so interesting? I think it's because it starts to maybe mark a shift away from dashboard-based approaches to enterprise intelligence and towards sort of more embedded decision loops that will help AI agents sort of self-reflect and adjust their behavior in the future. So I think that's really an interesting strategy that SAP has as well. In terms of which delivers more value, I think it's hard to say, as role-based agents are still such a new concept. But yeah, let's maybe wait and see.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it depends on, your situation, right? Every situation is different. What's your existing ERP environment? What are your existing business needs? What are your strategic priorities? In some instances, SAP might be better. SAP's got deep industry and process expertise, and its reliance on the SAP knowledge graph gives agents this built-in deep understanding of complex end-to-end business processes, making that maybe potentially more effective for things, complex manufacturing, supply chain, global operational workflows. You've got the hybrid on-prem needs. I think SAP's got greater flexibility, public cloud, private cloud, on-prem. Maybe that makes it, in some instances, a better choice for large enterprises who might be dealing with complex regulatory requirements, and, or those who are, transitioning throughout their cloud journeys. You've got the open extensibility, the content-based versus code-based agent approach, and leveraging this SAP business technology platform. So, maybe in your case, SAP might be better. You've got other situations where Oracle could be better. And, Oracle's unified cloud native experience, Oracle's agents are deeply embedded into that Fusion Cloud applications, ERP, or HCM, and this was built as a unified cloud native suite. Does this provide this more consistent user interface? And, you maybe have got the seamless data flow across other functions out of the box, like finance and HR and SCM. I think Oracle maybe has a stronger financial focus and really known for its expertise in financial management, and its AI agents are heavily focused on AI-driven automation for finance and planning workflows. You've got data security and sovereignty, which, I've said on many occasions recently that I think sovereignty is going to be the word of 2026. But, you've got Oracle's commitment to keeping customer data within the Oracle environment, not sharing it with external models. Could this be an advantage for an organization? Perhaps. And then you've got, I think, a simpler deployment for cloud first. And, as primary cloud native SaaS solution, Oracle setup maybe could be faster, and auto updates and those sorts of things could be simpler. But, I think you touched on it perfectly. There is not one solution that's right for everybody. It's what solution is right for your set of challenges in your specific situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously there's a lot more considerations to make. I mean, you mentioned a lot there, Shelley, but pricing, of course, is a particular issue, which I'm sure we'll be getting into.
That is exactly what we're talking about next. Absolutely. We'll dive on the pricing front.
Nice. Well, again, if we consider what Oracle is doing, so obviously, as I mentioned earlier, so their Fusion applications are running on OCI, and the AI agents, of course, are also running on that as well. So Oracle isn't paying for credits on third-party cloud or AI platforms. As such, its customers can use sort of pre-built agents and no additional cost, while custom-built agents are charged on a consumption basis.
Right.
And that consumption basis model typically works best when businesses cannot easily predict their usage. Yet, if the business is confident in its ability to track usage, a unit-based approach perhaps might be more cost-effective, and that's one of the options that SAP is presenting as well. So I don't know what your thoughts are here, Shelley, on this.
Well, what I've seen is that Oracle's pricing is really pretty simple. There's no additional cost for access to Gen AI, predictive AI, and AI agents as part of that core Fusion offering. Oracle AI Agent Studio is available at no additional cost. SAP is kind of known for complexity across the board, I think. And I love SAP. But they have a more complex, a two-tiered approach. The Joule base is free. It's included at no additional cost in all SAP cloud cloud subscriptions. And it provides that foundational AI capabilities for navigating SAP systems. That base AI is included in standard cloud subscriptions, can be used without limits or additional cost. And then there's the premium, the Joule Premium. This extends Joule base, of course, with more capabilities, more power, all of that sort of thing. As you mentioned, these, in SAP's instance, AI units are measured on a user per month basis. Jewel Premium uses tiered pricing based on volume. I think it could be, there's my dog saying hi. I think it could be easy to spend more money than you planned going the SAP route. It could, it's hard to compete against available and no additional cost from Oracle.
Yeah, and I think what both are doing, obviously, in putting some sort of free use, I think that's very much getting businesses playing with this technology, so embedding it into their software, because this technology is obviously moving at a pace where enterprises cannot keep up. So by making it more easy to use, by lowering costs on sort of the starter use cases, businesses can start to employ them by putting metrics against them. They can sort of see the progress and get them sort of engaged with latter stage, more complex sort of AI agent deployments too. So I think both of them, by putting out sort of like a free option for the starter agents, is an essential way, not just sort of building their customer base, but it's also just helping to sort of lessen the adoption curve.
Oh yeah, and that's a very big part of this equation, because the more expensive it is, the more complex it is, the more barriers to adoption. So I do think that this is a smart move on both of their parts, and it'll just be interesting to, I think that so SAP's free offering is great. I think what SAP is doing is perhaps monetizing AI as a premium capability, and Oracle is leaning into it. And what I see is kind of a competitive differentiator. And both of what you want to do is drive adoption and increase stickiness, right?
Yeah, so. But I mean, if you look at Oracle and SAP, they both don't really put much marketing. Like if CRM, for instance, they don't put much money into marketing those. They typically focus on their current install base.
Yeah.
So it's getting them sort of engaged with AI agents, and I think that both of their pricing models speak to that okay, let's get started now. This is now a tangible thing. Let's do this.
Yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense. So let's touch on briefly, Charlie, vendor lock-in. Do you think that these embedded agents make customers, more prone to vendor lock-in? What do you think about that?
Yes, I mean, for all the benefits of AI agents within Oracle and SAP, there's no doubt that they will tighten ties to vendors and make shifting even more tricky. Yeah. After all, it's not now just like a data and code switch. You're now migrating customized models. You're now migrating workflows.
Sure.
And that reliance will put vendors in a stronger place when it comes to renewal time. Now, what I will say, for sort of a long time, Oracle and SAP's value proposition has revolved around the size and architecture of their platforms and building those relationships with current install bases we've just talked about. But I mean, maybe again, for instance, like both of them have long marketed their CRM solutions on being able to more effectively combine data from different domains. So your finance, your service automation. This won't be necessarily a new concept for existing customers, but new customers should be especially wary of the risk of vendor lock-in for sure.
Yeah.
But I do just quickly want to reiterate that there is real value in the architecture that both providers are building, with the promise of sort of cross-platform data coordination. They're both well placed for a future where brands don't create agents with flow builders necessarily, but define requirements through prompting, and then the system will build the flows in the background.
Yeah.
I think that's a future where Oracle and SAP are particularly well placed with their sort of converged environments.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this is very much the future, and Oracle and SAP could definitely lead that. Good point.
Nice, excellent. And I know we were going to talk a little bit about scaling to in different types of use cases and whether it's in marketing.
Yeah. You keep asking the questions that you keep tackling the questions that I'm going to ask before I ask them, Charlie. That's what happens when you're used to being behind the mic.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
very true.
absolutely. All right. So when we're talking about these two, there's some key distinctions here. You've got agents versus features versus use cases, right? You've got AI agents, software systems that can perceive their environments, make decisions, take actions to achieve specific goals. With some degree of independence and autonomy, AI agents are adaptive. They can analyze content, plan steps, execute tasks, and adjust behavior as they receive new inputs. AI use cases is a much broader category. This can include simple AI features, embedded intelligence, predictive capabilities, and recommendations, not necessarily autonomous agents. And a use case could be to prevent inventory shortfalls without the autonomy to actually order inventory. So, is this to a certain extent a little bit of a, when we talk about the terminology that both of these vendors are using, um, is some of this a marketing engine here? Does a use case that provides an AI-powered insight, is it really equivalent to an autonomous agent that can execute multi-step workflows? Does this make SAP's terminology of use cases more honest, but perhaps less compelling? What do you think here? Am I looking too deeply at the marketing of each of these vendors?
Well, I think it's interesting, isn't it? Like if we look at what Oracle's saying, it's got 600 sort of AI agents and AI assistants. Yet its AI agents, of course, only make up some of that. The AI assistants will be doing a lot of that number, if that makes sense, and
Right.
comprising many older AI use cases that already would have been in existence. So maybe it is sort of to an extent clever wordplay, but I will say the first sort of use cases of AI that I saw that I've been seeing sort of branded as cutting edge AI agents were often just replacing sort of older AI technologies.
Right.
So
They've been around a while.
yeah, exactly. So I think, for instance, case summarization is something that like contact centers, for instance, have been doing for a decade with
Right.
natural language processing. And yet now we have sort of game-changing summarization agents. So there is definitely an element of marketing spin. Of course, I'm not doubting that these perhaps doing things summarization better,
Right.
and that there are agents that are reasoning on the transcripts to adapt their summarizations. But a lot of what we're seeing, a lot of what we're being told is new isn't necessarily new. It's just sort of primed for this age of AI agents. But I think there's no doubt there's hundreds of use cases for AI agents in the enterprise. And if we just take the contact center, which is my forte, and we consider contact center workforce management, which is an area that's been devoid of transformative innovation in recent years, despite sort of the generative AI revolution.
Right.
However, what if you could maybe use an AI agent to monitor your contact volumes and service level and various other resource planning metrics in the contact center, and then have that agent perform key intraday management tasks by following standard operating procedures instead of the resource planner having to do that? That could be an interesting sort of time-saving use case.
Yeah.
I also thought about maybe, because I've been thinking a lot about WFM recently, and I thought, what if I could take WFM data to inform the contact center routing engine when a live rep is about to end their shift, and then assign them a call that's likely to be shorter based on the caller intent, and then that could effectively
End their day on a happy note.
Yeah,
I love it.
exactly that. And it improves morale, but it also improves schedule adherence, and quality scores and different
Absolutely.
key measures. So I think so far we've only really seen contact centers and just often enterprises as a whole think of AI agents through the lens of conversation automation, but the possibilities extend much further. And that's why I was especially happy actually to see Oracle's role-based AI agents, because it showed service-based AI agents doing a lot more for service teams than just automating contacts.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So Charlie, enterprise AI implementations follow, a maturity framework from simple task completion to autonomous goal achievement. Do you see both vendors measuring capability at the same maturity level, or is one counting early stage features while the other counts advanced autonomous agents? There are some differences here, so I'd love your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, if we again look at the announcements, like Oracle has defined metrics for many of its pre-configured agents, which will undoubtedly
Yeah.
help to optimize the performance and outcomes of each. But I think your question actually opens up a much bigger question in terms of how will I know my agents are delivering value? And
Right.
typically, we'll maybe set internal benchmarks, we'll build them into a dashboard, and then we'll run manual calculations to see whether an agent is delivering bang for its buck. But in the future, I mean, there are potentially hundreds, as I said, AI agents running across the enterprise. So deducing their impact will become trickier. And there's also a small matter of the unexpected impact. So
Right.
an AI agent affecting an outcome that we never had any intention of affecting.
Yeah.
And that's actually why I'm really excited about the future of the business intelligence field in
Yeah.
particular. Like I see a future where users can ask questions of their data in plain English and get a dashboard that didn't exist 5 minutes previously, a dashboard where the parameters weren't even defined in advance. And already we see sort of Salesforce talking about this next type of agentic analytics, and Oracle, which is also a Magic Quadrant leader in BI, is also likely thinking along these lines to help better monitor the performance of AI employees as well as human employees across the enterprise. So I think BI is something to watch as AI agents are evolving, how that field is evolving as well.
Oh, I agree. I agree. And I will say I happen to have one of my 4 daughters is a college sophomore, uh, deeply immersed in the business intelligence space. So I'm very excited, as a nerd, to know that, because I think the future will be bright in that field. All right, Charlie. So let's talk a little bit about functionality. So SAP specifically describes its dual agents as capable of working together to execute complex cross-function processes, completing multi-step workflows that usually take hours and seconds. That's a true agent. What do you think? Is every agent in Oracle's 600 count at that level of sophistication?
Yeah, I guess this comes back to what we spoke about earlier in terms of some of the 600 not being assistants, not
Yeah.
necessarily agents. So no, but all those that Oracle defined as agents will have that level of sophistication for sure. After all, I think I've got the definition somewhere here. So it defines an AI agent as a software entity that can perceive its
Yes.
environment, take actions, and learn from experience. So it definitely will have that level of sophistication. If we're comparing Oracle and SAP again, what I will say is maybe where SAP is perhaps going further at this time is in its partner ecosystem. So for example, it's partnered with Microsoft quite closely. So a Teams user could invoke a dual agent to perform a task within the SAP environment from a Copilot prompt on Teams. So it's starting to develop AI agents that don't just cross its apps, but third-party solutions too. So I think that's a level of sophistication that
Yeah,
we're
I
seeing
agree.
at SAP especially. However, I mean, you mentioned this earlier that Oracle did also release its agent marketplace, which
Which is,
is
I think, a very big deal and very attractive.
yeah, exactly, because you have citizen developers developing agents for
Yeah.
customers to scout, to test and deploy within their Oracle environments. Now, that's not necessarily new in itself. I think HubSpot with its agent.ai platform has been doing that for like 12 months or so.
Right.
Cisco was also talking about that earlier this year.
Right.
Oracle can sort of watch its community build, see which agents are adding value, and then start to embed those as sort of part and parcel of the Fusion suite and ramp up innovation further. So I think undoubtedly that innovation will soon start to expand beyond the Fusion environment in
Yeah.
Oracle's case as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be really exciting to watch this too. So, Charlie, as we wrap this episode, let's talk quickly about the broader competitive landscape. How do you think SAP and Oracle's strategies compare, for instance, to Microsoft's platform first Azure AI strategy, or ServiceNow's workflow automation focus, and Salesforce's CRM centric approach?
Yeah, I mean, if we go back to that sort of future of AI agents that I spelled out earlier, where we have narrowly focused agents coordinated across multi-agent systems that accomplish longer tail cross-application workflows. SAP and Oracle clearly have a size advantage as they own many of the applications and the data.
They do.
However, each of the vendors also has its own strategy, and ServiceNow and Salesforce are fascinating examples. I think ServiceNow's AI experience release in September proved particularly interesting for me, in that it also introduced role-aware agents, they called them, but also role-aware focused and functionally focused interfaces. So if you're in a CRM, you see CRM-specific insights and recommendations to improve agents. And then these interfaces will be generated more and more by AI in time, become more contextual, adaptive, and built around a specific user role. And that's a great way to increase business-wide AI agents by prompting users say, oh, maybe you could employ an AI agent to do this through their own interface, and have agents also supporting users as they work within that interface too. So I think that was a really interesting announcement. I think it's also done a better job than many others in terms of highlighting the impact of AI agents for its control tower. And I think the fact that ServiceNow is already in most IT departments, and it is sort of IT leaders that are driving the implementation of AI agents across the enterprise. I think that's a big announcement, as these IT teams will likely want to work with a provider they're already familiar with.
Really, I think that's a really important point, Charlie, that familiarity. You're already a trusted vendor partner. Why should I turn to somebody else?
Yeah, absolutely. And they've already built out a lot of the workflows on ServiceNow as well. So how can I use AI agents to fulfill a lot of those tasks? I think that's great. And but what I will say, obviously, Salesforce did release its own IT service management at Dreamforce, which I'm sure you saw as well, Shelley, with an emphasis on it being Slack first. And I think there are two real reasons why that's interesting from an AI agent perspective. I think first, it hopes to win increasing IT mindshare. So the IT teams think of Salesforce, not ServiceNow, for broader agent force adoption. But I also think its positioning of the platform as Slack as the place for AI and human collaboration as fascinating too, because I've sort of long foreseen UC, or I know Slack doesn't like the word UC, collaboration platforms as the operational center point for AI agents. I think that is the future for this software category, and Salesforce is ahead of the game there, I think. And ServiceNow might disagree there, but Zoom has also started to make similar moves in the positioning of its platform, operational center point. And Microsoft, albeit a bit slower, is starting to transform teams too. So I think there's a lot of approaches out there, but I will say ServiceNow and Salesforce are exciting me right now, with Oracle and SAP also being interesting to watch.
Yeah, I agree. And, to your point, Charlie, there's a lot to be said about, we touched on this really early in the conversation, but the reality of our lives is that we're jumping from platform to platform, from application to application. And, the time that it takes to do that is not insignificant. So I think having your point about UC platforms being the operational center point for AI agents makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It really does. And that doesn't mean that Oracle and SAP won't, make great inroads here, but I do think that there's some significant competition out there. And so it'll be super interesting to watch, Charlie.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think especially in terms of, I say ServiceNow might disagree with that vision, but it's also partnering a lot more closely with Zoom.
Yeah.
So perhaps it does recognize sort of the potential in that. And it's also partnered with Microsoft, and there's, again, some sort of cooperation between teams and ServiceNow, but the Zoom ServiceNow relationship has been particularly fascinating to watch evolve. And of course, Bill McDermott, CEO of ServiceNow, is part of the Zoom board. So it is an interesting software category to watch for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Charlie Mitchell, that is a wrap for this episode of Experience Matters. A couple of things for certain on the role-based AI agents front. There are a lot of moving pieces here, and it will be super interesting to watch this play out. Thank you so much for joining me, Charlie, today. And I cannot wait until you can publicly talk about where it is you're landing next. I'm sure it's going to be a great new adventure.
No, I really appreciate the opportunity to come on here, Shelley, and also keep refreshing my CX knowledge. So thanks.
All right, my friend, we'll talk again soon. And to our audience, if you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, now would be a great time to do it. And thank you again for spending time with us today on Experience Matters. We'll see you next time.